I'm Vivian Irving, and last month I learned that the best way to shut down family manipulation isn't with a fight, it's with a smart, quiet move. Ever had your parents call you selfish for holding on to what's yours? They guilt trip you, demanding you hand it all to the golden child who's already got everything? That's what happened when my parents found out I inherited Grandma's $750,000 house. They didn't just ask me to share, they showed up with a realtor, threatening to disown me if I didn't sell. What they didn't know, I'd already sold it 3 days earlier to someone they'd never see coming. When they saw who stood in that house, Mom actually screamed. Before I spill how my sister's own CEO became my secret weapon, hit that like and subscribe if you love stories about standing up to family pressure. Drop a comment, where are you watching from and what time is it? Night owl like me or sipping morning coffee? Let's dive into how this all began. Growing up as the older daughter should have meant something. But in our house, charm trumped birth order. That was always Melissa. I took the bus to public school at 7 a.m. while my parents drove her to a fancy private academy. Vivian's independent, Mom would say. Translation: I didn't deserve what Melissa got. I'd show Dad my straight A report card and he'd barely glance at it. Did you see Melissa's art project? He'd ask. My grades were expected. Her every move was a miracle. She got ballet lessons, violin tutors, even summer camps in Europe. I asked for $200 for debate team. Dad said we had to prioritize. That same week, they bought Melissa a $3,000 MacBook for her creativity. But Grandma Eleanor saw me. While my parents obsessed over Melissa's recitals, Grandma would sneak into my room. "How's my brilliant girl?" she'd ask, genuinely curious about my robotics projects or library job. 16, I asked why they loved Melissa more. "They don't," she said, her lavender perfume wrapping me like a shield. "They love themselves more. Melissa's their mirror. You, Vivian, show who they really are, hardworking, practical, and that scares them." Those words shaped me. While Melissa coasted through college on our parents' money, I worked 3 jobs to graduate with honors in accounting. Boring? Maybe. Practical? Definitely. When I got my CPA license, only Grandma celebrated. My parents? They were in Cabo, toasting Melissa's short-lived engagement. Some moments sting forever, reminding you where you stand. On my 25th birthday, I hoped for a family dinner. Instead, I woke to silence, no calls, no texts. By noon, I saw Mom's Facebook post. Her and Melissa shopping at Nordstrom, champagne in hand. It wasn't even Melissa's birthday month. When I graduated summa cum laude, my parents texted, "Congrats." When Melissa barely graduated, they threw a huge party. But Grandma never forgot. She brought lasagna when I passed my CPA exam, framed my first business card, bragged about me to her book club. "You're building something real," she'd say. "Someday you'll have more than my love to remember me by." I thought she meant photos, maybe jewelry. Not her house on Maple Street, where I spent summers baking, gardening, feeling valued. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a blooming garden, full of memories. When Grandma passed last year, I thought I'd lost my only real family. Then her lawyer called about the will and everything changed. Even as I sat in that office, named the sole heir to the house, I knew my family wouldn't let it go. In our house, what's mine was always up for debate, and the vote always went to Melissa. The question was, would I let them win again? That house wasn't just a house. It was $750,000 of prime Palo Alto real estate, 3 blocks from the tech corridor. For me, it was the kitchen where Grandma taught me apple pie, the porch where we read in silence, the garden where I learned patience. I was living in a tiny Redwood City studio, battling a 40-minute commute and a landlord who thought hot water was optional. This house meant stability, a 5-minute commute to my new senior accountant job, ironically at the same tech company where Melissa just became marketing manager, bragging about the CEO's approval. The house would save me $2,000 a month in rent, give me a home office, maybe let me start consulting. It was my future. But days after the will was read, the calls started. Vivian, honey, let's talk about the house, Mom cooed, sweeter than she'd been in years. It's a big responsibility, Dad added, as if he'd cared about me in decades. Then Melissa's tears. I'm not saying give it to me, but maybe we could share or sell and split it. My moldy studio was apparently enough for me. The pressure was relentless, and I knew it'd only get worse. In my family, saying no just started the argument. Texts flooded my phone from 6 a.m. to midnight for 2 weeks straight. Family shares, Vivian. Don't be selfish. Melissa's starting a new life. She needs this more. Grandma would hate your greed. That last one almost made me laugh. Grandma, who left the house to me alone, would be disappointed? The woman who once said, "Your parents would pawn your shadow for Melissa's dreams." Melissa's tears turned into full-on meltdowns. She'd call, crying about how she and her latest boyfriend couldn't afford a house, how unfair it was that I got a free one while she struggled in her luxury apartment, paid for by our parents. Then came the family ambush. Aunt Helen, Uncle Robert, cousins I hadn't seen in years, all suddenly preaching family unity and fairness. Their texts read like Mom wrote them. Think of everyone, not just you. Melissa's fragile. You're strong. Don't let a house tear us apart. The Thursday before the meeting with Attorney Mills, Dad sent his ultimatum. Sell and split the money or you're out of this family. I stared at that text for an hour. Out of the family, like I'd ever been in. Then my phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. Vivian, it's Marcus Chen. Heard you might be selling the Maple Street house. I'm interested. Can we talk? Marcus, my college study buddy, now CEO of the company where Melissa just got promoted. The universe was playing a prank. I reread Dad's threat, then Marcus's offer. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. They wanted me to sell? Fine, but they didn't say to who. Hi, Marcus, I texted. Let's talk, but keep it quiet. His reply was instant. Got it. I can meet tonight. And Vivian, I remember how they treated you in college. You're in charge now. If you've ever been the family scapegoat, expected to give up everything while the golden child gets it all, drop your story in the comments. How did you stand up? Still fighting? If this hits home, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to those of us told we don't matter. Now, let me tell you about the meeting where my family thought they'd win, but walked right into my plan. Attorney Mills' conference room felt tiny with my family packed in. Mom and Dad sat like judges, Melissa between them, tissues ready. Even Aunt Helen showed up for support. Table reflected their smug faces. They were ready to fight. We brought our own realtor, Dad declared before Mills could speak, pointing to a woman in a bold red blazer. Mrs. Patterson has cash buyers lined up. That's premature, Mills said calmly. Not at all, Mom snapped. We're settling this as a family. The will's settled, I said softly. Wills can be challenged, Dad fired back. Undue influence, mental capacity, we've got lawyers. Melissa sobbed on cue. Why are you doing this, Vivian? After all our parents did for you. I wanted to laugh. Instead, I stayed calm like Grandma taught me during chess. Hide your next move. Vivian's selfish, Mom told the room. Hoarding a house while Melissa struggles. I just want fairness, Melissa whimpered. Mrs. Patterson slid papers over. List today, sell in a week. Market's hot. Vivian hasn't agreed, Mills pointed out. She will, Dad said, his voice echoing every childhood ultimatum. Or she's out, no holidays, no birthdays, no grandkids, nothing. Silence fell. Even Helen squirmed. Mom squeezed Melissa's hand. Your sister needs this for client entertaining. That apartment won't do. The one you pay for? I asked. Temporary, Mom hissed. Mills tried to speak, but Dad cut in. Vivian signs today. I scanned their confident faces. My phone buzzed Marcus. Contract signed. Ready. Actually, I said, standing, there's something you need to know. Sit, Dad barked, his old tone meant to scare me. I didn't. I need to say something. Just say yes, Mom pressed. Sell, share, stop being difficult. Melissa sniffled. I told Brad we're house shopping. You're embarrassing me, Vivian. Melissa earned her promotion, Helen added. She deserves a house for her status. Unlike you, Dad sneered. An accountant in a studio, what do you need with 3 bedrooms? She'll probably rent it out, Melissa accused. Profit off Grandma's death. Gross. Her calling me money hungry while demanding my inheritance nearly cracked me. Mrs. Patterson nudged the papers. The offer is above market. You'd both get down payments. Both. I eyed her. It's my house. Don't split hairs, Mom scolded. Family shares. Like you shared tuition? I asked. Or birthdays. Graduations. Poor Vivian, Dad mocked. Always holding grudges. You had Grandma's attention, Melissa snapped. Every Sunday, every holiday, you hogged her. Share what she left. Mills shifted. The will's clear. Wills break, Dad said. Undue influence. An old woman swayed by one granddaughter. That's a lie, I said softly. Is it? Mom challenged. You were always at her house, poisoning her against Melissa. My phone buzzed, Marcus. Here in 15. I looked at my family, who shared my blood but never my pain, who saw my inheritance as their right. You want the house? I said. Let's see it. Dad's eyes narrowed. What's your game? No game, I said, checking my phone. But let's do this at the house. See what you're so eager to take. It's not taking, Mom snapped, grabbing her purse. Mills stood. Any decisions happen today? No more delays, Dad said. The drive to Maple Street felt like a funeral. I drove alone. My parents, Melissa, and Mrs. Patterson rode together, probably plotting. Mills followed, looking uneasy. Marcus called. You sure? They want the house, I said. It's done, filed yesterday. Tesla's in the driveway, he said. See you soon. Melissa's texts kept coming. Do the right thing. Don't embarrass yourself. Mom's blood pressure's up because of you. Rich, considering they were trying to take my future. As we reached Maple Street, I saw Grandma's Victorian, its porch, her garden, our memories. Family's about choice, she'd said. In the driveway sat a white Tesla Model S, shining like justice. Melissa gasped from her car. That's, Mom squinted. Whose car is that? Dad glared. Melissa whispered, That's my CEO's car. Marcus Chen. Your CEO? Dad turned. Here. I walked to the door, holding useless keys. Let's find out. The door opened before I knocked. About the house, I said, pausing on the steps. We know enough, Dad growled, pushing past. It's a family asset, he froze. Marcus Chen stood there, CEO confidence and casual wealth. Mr. Chen, Melissa stammered. Why are you? Marcus nodded to her, then smiled at me. Vivian, right on time. Someone explain this, Mom demanded, her voice shaky now. Mrs. Patterson stepped up, hand out. Mr. Chen, I'm Rebecca Patterson. I hear you're interested in… I'm not, Marcus cut in smoothly. I'm the owner. The silence hit like a bomb, shocked, total disbelief. Dad spoke first. Impossible. This house is Vivian's. Was, Attorney Mills said, finally jumping in. Past tense. 3 days ago, I added softly. Sale's done. Melissa's face flipped through feelings fast. Confusion, shock, rage, panic. You sold it? To my boss. To his company, Marcus said. Totally legal. The Mills can verify. Mills nodded. I checked the papers. Clean deal, fair price, actually over market. You can't, Mom yelled. We're family. No right. She had every right, Marcus replied, calm but sharp. Her house, her call. We had buyers, Mrs. Patterson said. Cash ready. Too late, Marcus noted. Dad's face went purple. Fraud. You tricked her. Marcus laughed out loud. Mr. Irving, I paid $800,000, 50,000 over asking. If anyone's tricked, it's me. But I wanted this exact house here. Why? Melissa whispered, her job in her mind. Marcus grinned. We're setting up a satellite office for marketing, your team. Melissa wobbled like she'd faint. Here. Yes, Marcus said from the doorway, right at home. Company wants more residential spots. Better balance for staff. Perfect location. Dad lunged forward. You manipulated her. Illegal. We'll sue. Which her? Marcus asked sweetly. Vivian offered clean. I paid extra. All on record. You knew her before, Mom accused. Planned. College study buddies, I said steady. Illegal to sell to a friend? To hurt family? Dad roared. Mills cleared her throat. No, not illegal. 30 neighbors crowded the sidewalk now, Grandma's old friends, watching our mess like TV. Mrs. Kim filmed. Mr. Peterson grinned. Vivian, please, Melissa begged, crying. My career, my future. It's safe, Marcus said. If you keep it professional. The hint landed hard. Melissa's tears dried up fast. You spiteful, Mom lunged at me, but Mills blocked. Careful, Mrs. Irving. Assault won't help. What help? Dad barked. We'll fight the sale. Influence fraud. How? Mills asked. She sold her own house to a buyer? To hurt Melissa, Mom sobbed. To build my future, I said. Like you always built hers. Mrs. Patterson edged to her car. I should leave. Family stuff. Not now, Marcus said. Business now. Best part, I said, voice firm for once. I got a 10-year lease, cheap rent. I'll live here while you, I eyed Melissa, work here. She whimpered. Every day. Yes, I said. Your promotion, your office, and Grandma's house with me as tenant. This isn't real, Melissa whispered, clutching Mom. He can't force me here. Harassment. Marcus stayed cool. Team needs space. House is for that. Request a transfer if you want. The demotion vibe hung heavy. You two plotted, Dad jabbed at us. Conspiracy. Business, Marcus fixed. She needed a buyer. I needed a house. Win-win. What about us? Mom screamed. Melissa's needs? What about them? I asked, really wondering. 32 years, all for her, school, hobbies, dreams, fixing her messes. When was it my turn? You didn't need, Dad snapped. Always tough, independent. You never gave, so I had to, I burst out. Not by choice, by force. Every bit went to her. Neighbors filmed now. Mrs. Kim's daughter joined. Peterson's kid live-streamed. Private talk, Mills suggested. No, I said. They shamed me public with the realtor. Let's stay public. My phone buzzed. Marcus checked his. Movers here. Truck rolled up. Guys unloaded desks, chairs, table. No, Melissa gasped. No. Team meeting Monday, Marcus told her. 9 a.m. don't miss. I won't work here, she stomped like a kid. No way. Your call, Marcus said easy. HR for exit if needed. Mom faced me furious. You wrecked her life. Happy. Didn't wreck, I said. Sold my house. She has her job. You have your fave. Only change, I'm not your rug anymore. Dad got close, voice dark. You're out. Family over. I looked him dead on. Good. Can you believe they thought they could make me sell? What would you do? Comment, I want to know if I overdid it or not enough. California? Heart emoji. New York? Apple. If you fought family bullies, you're not alone. Story's not done. What came next shook us all, not just Melissa, every tie. I'll show real fallout. The drive to Grandma's, my old house, Marcus's now, felt like a backward win. Family trailed. Mom ranting, Dad scheming lawsuits, Melissa freaking over work. Parked, tried the key one last time, remembered it was useless. The sign hit me. More neighbors showed. News spread quick in this quiet spot. Mrs. Chen yelled, Eleanor'd love this, Vivian. Mom froze. Love betrayal? Love you standing tall, Mrs. Chen fired. We knew your treatment. Eleanor spilled all. Mom flushed deep red knowing secrets were out. Marcus stood on the porch, happy with his buy. Movers kept going, a desk worth my rent passed. Then I saw Tesla had company. 3 fancy cars, execs from LinkedIn, his top team. What's this? Melissa asked, spotting her boss from a BMW. Site check, Marcus said. Planning rooms. Your spot's front, Melissa, bay window. Grandma's reading nook, her book and tea spot, street views and waves, now Melissa's office, seeing me daily. That's? She trailed. What to say? Unfair? From her? Her head Jennifer Wu approached. Melissa? Here early? Peeking at the new digs? Melissa's mouth flapped like a fish out of water. I just looking, she mumbled. Vivian, Jennifer Wu spotted me, offering her hand. Marcus said you're our tenant. So great you're staying in your grandma's house. You know her? Mom asked, eyes narrowing. Met at the company holiday party, Jennifer said. Vivian consulted for our finance team last year. Nailed our tax restructuring. Another secret out. I'd worked with Marcus' company for months, earning respect without family ties. You planned this, Dad growled, piecing it together. To shame us. No, I said plain. To survive you. Marcus stepped up and the street went quiet. Even movers froze. Mr. and Mrs. Irving, he said, voice carrying, let's be clear. 3 days ago, I bought this house from Vivian for $800,000. Sales done, filed final. You tricked her, Dad started. I seized a fair deal, Marcus cut in. Vivian needed a buyer who valued her connection here. I needed an office spot. We both got what we wanted. What about Melissa? Mom's voice broke. Which daughter? Marcus shot back. You only seem to care about one. Melissa, mascara streaking, stepped forward. Mr. Chen, please. She's my sister. Can't we fix this? We have, he said. You work here Monday. Vivian lives upstairs per our lease. Cross her, you're fired. Fired. Melissa gasped. She's my sister. Who you tried to rob, Jennifer added, clearly in the loop. Neighbors loved it. Mr. Peterson munched popcorn. Where'd he get that? Extortion, Dad sputtered. Turney Mills spoke up. No consequences new to you, apparently. Janet, Mom gasped. You're neutral. And honest, Mills said. Your mom told me Linda and Robert will try to steal this from Vivian. Stop them. Silence hit hard. Grandma said that? I asked, voice small. Mills nodded. She knew her will needed ironclad terms, no sharing, no family override, just you. She turned Grandma against us, Mom accused. No, Mrs. Kim shouted. Eleanor saw your truth, parading Melissa, ignoring Vivian's birthdays. Private business. Dad yelled. Not on my lawn, Marcus said. You're trespassing. Vivian invites you or you go. All eyes turned to me, family, neighbors, Marcus, his team, waiting. Mills pulled papers from her briefcase. Deed transfer filed 3 days ago. Clean title, signed, notarized. Vivian had full rights. She spread them on her Lexus hood like evidence. No liens, no claims. Your will contest threats? Useless. Undue influence needs proof from when Eleanor signed. 2 doctors confirmed her sound mind. You knew. Dad accused Mills. I knew she considered selling. Not my job to tell you her choices. Family, Mom started. Has no legal weight, Mills cut off. Vivian owes you nothing here. Marcus flashed his phone. Wire transfer, $800,000 cleared. Want see? Disgusting, Mom spat. Money over family. You assumed you'd control Vivian forever, Marcus said. That's what's done. Melissa's gears turned. Her boss owned her office, my house she tried to take. She'd see me daily, knowing I could have ruined her but didn't. There's more, I said, voice steady. My lease gives me first buyback rights at Marcus price. What? Dad's head whipped to me. If he sells, Mills explained, Vivian can buy it back for $800,000. She's not just tenant, she's protected. That's, Mom fumbled. Planning. Grandma's kind, I said. She taught me revenge isn't loud, it's smart contracts. Marcus grinned. Wise woman, your grandma. She was, I said, staring at my parents. She saw I wasn't weak for being quiet. I was learning, waiting. For what? Melissa asked. For you to try stealing my one true thing. I nodded to the paper's house crowd. Here we are. So, Melissa said, brain clicking, I work in Grandma's reading room and you live upstairs? Yes, Marcus confirmed. Refuse. Your call, he said. But dodging work assignments is insubordination. This is punishment, she whined. Business, Jennifer cut in. Locations for clients, creative vibe. Your family drama doesn't matter. My daughter works in a house she should have had. Mom screamed. Should have? I asked. Why? Born second? Prettier? More loved? She needs it, Dad yelled. She wants it, I said firm. I need stability. She wants status. I need freedom from you. She wants another toy you'll buy. How dare you? Mom lunged. Marcus stepped in. Mrs. Irving, you're trespassing. Leave or I call cops. You wouldn't, Dad challenged. Marcus dialed. Santa Clara Police. Trespassers at 427 Maple. We're going, Mom yanked Dad. Not over. It is, I said. House sold. Contracts signed. Melissa works here Monday. I live here my way. You're home. Melissa scoffed. You're a tenant. With a cheap 10-year lease and buyback rights, I said. More than you'll ever have. Police cruiser rolled up, lights off. Parents retreated. You chose strangers, Mom threw out. No, I said. I chose me over people who never did. Your fault, Melissa hissed. When Marcus drops this, you'll be alone. I'll remember, I said. Every morning in Grandma's house, every night in her garden, every time I don't beg for your respect. They left in a huff, Mom sobbing dramatically into her hands, Dad muttering dark threats about lawyers and lawsuits, Melissa stunned into rare silence. I stood on the porch, watching their car peel away, tires kicking up gravel like an exclamation point on the chaos. The neighbors dispersed slowly, whispering among themselves, phones still out from recording the spectacle. Marcus gave me a nod before heading inside, his team following like a well-oiled machine. Turney Mills squeezed my arm. You did good, Vivian. Call if they try anything. Then she was gone too, leaving me alone with the house that had started it all. The fallout crashed in like a wave. Within an hour, my phone lit up with notifications. Mom had posted on Facebook, her go-to platform for public pity parties, heartbroken beyond words. When money means more than a mother's love, some daughters are born cruel. She tagged the whole family, of course, turning our private mess into a viral family shame fest. Comments poured in from distant relatives and old friends. Sympathy for her, questions about what really happened. I didn't respond. Why feed the fire? Aunt Helen called 15 minutes later, her voice a mix of curiosity and glee. Vivian, honey, what in the world happened? Your mom's blowing up my feed, saying you sold Grandma's house just to spite them. I leaned against the kitchen counter, staring at Grandma's old teapot. I sold my house for top dollar, Aunt Helen. The buyer being Melissa's boss? Pure luck. She burst out laughing, a deep, genuine cackle that made me smile for the first time that day. Luck? Bullshit, kid. That was masterful. Good for you. Your grandma's probably cheering from heaven right now. The family group chat exploded like a bomb. Cousins took sides, some defending me with Vivian deserved that house, others piling on with, how could you do this to Melissa? Uncles threatened lawsuits they couldn't possibly afford, typing furious rants about undue influence and family betrayal. Aunts gasped in digital horror, clutching virtual pearls with emojis of shocked faces. I muted the chat after the 10th notification. Let them rage. I'd spent 32 years in the shadows. This was my spotlight. Meanwhile, the neighbors' group chat, Mrs. Kim had added me that afternoon, buzzed with a different energy. Finally, someone put a stop to those entitled people, one message read. Eleanor always said Vivian was the smart one in that family. Robert's face when he saw Marcus? Pure gold. Linda's been bragging about Melissa's success for years, but she won't dare mention her new office setup now. I read them with a quiet satisfaction, sipping tea from Grandma's favorite mug. These people had known her, known us, and they saw the truth without the family filter. As the sun set on Maple Street, I wandered through the house, touching the walls, the banister, the doorknobs worn smooth by Grandma's hands. Downstairs would change soon, office furniture arriving, the reading room becoming a workspace. But upstairs? That was mine. I unpacked a few more boxes, arranging books on shelves, placing plants by windows. For the first time, this felt like home, not just a memory but my future. Monday morning dawned like an unexpected Christmas. I woke up in Grandma's bed, the one with the quilt she'd sewn herself, patterns of stars and moons that always made me feel safe. Sunlight filtered through lace curtains, casting soft patterns on the wooden floor. I stretched, feeling a lightness I hadn't known in years. Downstairs, I brewed coffee in her kitchen, the aroma filling the space like a warm hug. The house was quiet, peaceful, mine for a few more hours before the corporate invasion. At 8:45 sharp, cars began pulling into the driveway. Sleek sedans and hybrids, executives stepping out with laptops and briefcases. Melissa's car arrived at 8:58, a flashy red convertible that screamed, "Look at me." She sat inside for a full 5 minutes, engine idling, probably giving herself a pep talk or debating turning around. I watched from my upstairs window, cup in hand. When she finally emerged, smoothing her skirt and tossing her hair, she glanced up. Our eyes met. I waved cheerfully like we were old friends. The look on her face, pure horror mixed with defeat, made every ignored birthday, every slighted achievement, every family dinner where I was an afterthought worth it. She hurried inside without waving back. Jennifer Wu took charge of the meeting in what used to be Grandma's cozy reading room. I could hear fragments through the old vents, the house's quirky feature that carried sounds like whispers from the past. Talk of innovative workspace solutions and residential integration for enhanced creativity, corporate jargon that boiled down to your sister owns you now. Laughter echoed at times, ideas bouncing around. I smiled to myself, folding laundry upstairs. This was their world now, but on my terms. At lunch break, a soft knock sounded on my door. I opened it to find Melissa, looking smaller than usual, her makeup flawless but her eyes tired. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. I stepped aside, letting her in. She wandered the upstairs apartment I'd carved out. My books lined on shelves, plants thriving in sunlight, photos of Grandma and me on the walls. It was simple, practical mine. "This isn't fair," she said softly, turning to me. "What isn't? You living here while I have to work downstairs? It's like psychological torture." I crossed my arms, keeping calm. "It's consequences, Melissa. You tried to steal my inheritance. Now you have to work in the house you wanted so badly." Her eyes welled up. "But I'm your sister." "Yes," I agreed, my voice steady. "And that should have mattered to you before you tried to rob me blind." She opened her mouth, then closed it, turning away. She left without another word, the door clicking shut behind her. That night, as I washed dishes, my phone rang. "Marcus." "How was day one from your end?" he asked, his voice warm. "Eye-opening," I replied, drying my hands. "For everyone involved. Any regrets?" I scanned Grandma's kitchen, the china still in the cabinets where she'd placed it, her apron hanging on its familiar hook. Memories flooded back, her teaching me recipes, laughing over burnt cookies. "None at all," I said firmly. 3 months in, the routine had settled like fine dust on forgotten shelves. Melissa arrived every morning at exactly 9 a.m., never a minute early, never late. She'd park in the designated employee section Marcus had painted in the driveway, gather her laptop and files with robotic precision, and march past my door without so much as a glance upward. Downstairs hummed with corporate energy, clicking keyboards, whiteboards scribbled with strategies, the constant low buzz of productivity calls. Upstairs remained Grandma's sanctuary, my sanctuary, untouched by the office frenzy below. During one of our monthly check-ins, Marcus leaned back in what was now his temporary office chair. "Your parents called again," he said casually. "They're offering to buy the house from me, double what I paid." I raised an eyebrow, stirring my coffee. "And what did you tell them?" "That the property isn't for sale." Your dad used some colorful language before hanging up. I chuckled. Sounds about right. Typical dad, bluster without backup. The most noticeable change was in Melissa. Without our parents' constant reinforcement, without their endless cash cushioning every misstep, she was faltering hard. Her work output was mediocre at best, her ideas uninspired and recycled. Jennifer Wu had put her on a performance improvement plan, a polite corporate way of saying shape up or ship out. I overheard Jennifer confiding in another exec during a garden break one afternoon. "She's never had to actually work before," Jennifer said, plucking a weed from Grandma's rose bed. "Your parents' connections got her the job initially, but connections don't write compelling marketing strategies or hit deadlines." The family had fractured completely by then. Thanksgiving came and went without a single word from anyone, no invitations, no passive-aggressive texts. Christmas followed suit, the holidays feeling strangely liberating without the forced cheer. Mom sent one curt text on Christmas Eve. "You're missing Melissa's engagement party this weekend." Brad, or was it Blake, had apparently proposed amid some lavish setup. I'd stopped keeping track of her revolving door of boyfriends long ago. But in exchange for that silence, I gained something priceless: peace. Mornings with hot coffee in Grandma's blooming garden, watching birds flit among the flowers. Evenings curled up in her favorite reading chair after business hours, losing myself in books. Weekends spent tending the roses she'd planted decades ago, the hardy blooms that defied neglect, harsh winters, pounding storms, everything life threw at them. One afternoon, during a routine property walkthrough with Marcus, I paused by the garden gate. "Grandma once told me something profound," I said, running my fingers over a thorny stem. "She said the Irving family was like a garden where only one type of flower was allowed to bloom. Everything else got cut down or pulled out as weeds." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "And now?" "Now? I'm growing wild, untamed, exactly as I should." The financial security amplified that freedom. Between my steady accounting job, side consulting gigs for Marcus's company, and the massive savings from my below market rent, I'd accumulated more in my savings account in those 3 months than in the previous 3 years combined. Melissa, on the other hand, was learning the hard way what life looked like without parental subsidies. Her luxury apartment was gone, replaced by something more modest. The designer clothes and flashy car had been downsized too, no more endless safety net. I overheard her griping to a coworker one day, the vents carrying her voice upstairs like an unintended confession. "It's so unfair," she complained, her tone whiny. She got everything handed to her. The coworker paused. Didn't she inherit it fair and square? That's not the point, Melissa snapped. But it was exactly the point. I'd inherited what was rightfully mine, and for the first time in my life, I'd fought to keep it, building walls around it that no amount of family guilt could breach. 6 months after the sale, I found myself in Grandma's garden at sunset, kneeling in the soft earth, planting the last of the spring bulbs. Corporate buzz downstairs had faded hours ago, the team wrapping up early on Fridays. The house felt truly mine again, enveloped in the kind of soul-soothing quiet Grandma always said was essential for reflection. Birds chirped their evening songs, and the air smelled of fresh soil and blooming jasmine. My phone rang, shattering the tranquility. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I answered, wiping dirt from my hands. "Mom," she blurted without hello, her voice thick with accusation. "Melissa lost her job today." I stood, brushing off my knees. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, and I meant it. Despite the years of resentment, I took no real joy in her failures. It just felt like the inevitable end of a path she'd chosen. "This is all your fault," Mom continued, her words tumbling out. The stress of working in that house, seeing you every day, it destroyed her performance, her confidence. I walked to the porch swing, sitting down with a sigh. Her job was her responsibility, Mom, not mine. Family helps family, Vivian. That's what we've always done. Family respects family first, I countered. You taught me that lesson, just not the way you intended. There was a long pause, then a click as she hung up. No goodbye, no softening. Typical. Marcus called an hour later, his timing impeccable. "I wanted you to hear this from me," he said. Melissa's termination was purely performance-based. It had nothing to do with the property situation or any personal vendetta. "I know," I replied, watching the sun dip lower. I've heard her work calls through the vents over the months. She was coasting on charm in a role that demanded real substance and effort. He hesitated. "You could have helped her, you know. Offered some advice, maybe." "I could have," I admitted. But she never asked. She demanded, schemed, cried crocodile tears, and threatened lawsuits, but she never once just asked for help like a normal person. That night, as the house settled into darkness, I rummaged through Grandma's closet for an old blanket. My hand brushed against a box I'd somehow missed before, tucked in the back corner. I pulled it out, dust motes dancing in the lamplight. Inside were dozens of letters, all addressed to me in her elegant handwriting, sealed but never sent. I opened one at random, my heart pounding. "My dearest Vivian," it began. "I watch them dim your light day after day, and it breaks my old heart. But I see the fire in you they're trying so hard to extinguish. It's not gone, just hidden deep. One day you'll have the chance to let it burn bright. When that day comes, don't hesitate. Don't feel guilty. Take what's yours and build the life you deserve. All my love, Grandma." The date at the top? 3 years ago. She'd been planning this, seeing the storm coming long before I did. Tears blurred my vision as I read another, then another. Words of encouragement, wisdom, love that she'd poured out in secret. The house grew even quieter in the following weeks, free from the daily office chaos. Marcus had shifted the marketing team to a proper commercial space downtown after Melissa's departure. He'd only needed the house for those initial 6 months to drive home his point about work ethic and boundaries, but my lease remained ironclad. 10 years of security at a rate so low it felt like a gift. Gave me time to save, invest wisely, and build a nest egg that would ensure I'd never depend on anyone again. Melissa texted me that morning, her first direct contact since the confrontation. You won! Happy now. I stared at the screen, then typed back. I'm free. There's a big difference. Spring arrived in a glorious explosion of color, waking Grandma's garden like a long-forgotten promise. Every flower she'd cherished, roses, lilies, hydrangeas, burst back stronger, their petals unfurling under the warming sun. Every plant she'd nurtured with patient hands seemed to thrive more vibrantly, as if honoring her memory. Neighbors dropped by more often now, leaning over the fence with cuttings or seeds, sharing stories of Grandma I'd never heard. Tales of her book club debates, her legendary apple pies at block parties, her quiet acts of kindness during hard times. They welcomed me like family because in this neighborhood I was home, rooted, belonging. One afternoon over tea on the porch, Mrs. Kim leaned in conspiratorially. Your parents are selling their house, you know. I set down my cup. Really? Yes, moving to Arizona. Said something about starting fresh where no one knows their business. I nodded slowly. Fleeing from the mess they'd made. Classic move when reality refused to bend to their narrative. Let them go. The distance would be a blessing. I'm done running from who I am. I'm planted firmly here, in Grandma's house, her blooming garden, the life she'd so carefully made possible for me. Not out of spite or petty revenge, but out of pure love, the self-love Grandma had tried to instill in me through quiet conversations and shared moments. Kind my parents had tried to crush with their favoritism and neglect. Kind that bloomed anyway, resilient and beautiful. In another letter from the box, she'd written, Family isn't just who you're born to, my dear. It's who stands by you when standing by you costs them something real. By that simple definition, I'd lost nothing worth keeping and gained a world of support, from neighbors, from Marcus, from the echoes of Grandma herself. Thanks for sticking with my story. I know it's long. Family drama always drags on, doesn't it? If you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and preserving your self-respect, drop it in the comments. What boundaries did you set? What did it cost you in the short term? What freedoms did you gain in the end? If you think I handled it right, smash that like button. If you believe I went too far, explain why. I'm genuinely open to different views. Subscribe if you crave more tales of outsmarting family manipulation with smart strategy instead of screaming matches. Until next time, remember, the best revenge isn't loud. It's a legally binding contract that sets you free. Thanks for hearing my story. I know it's long, family chaos always is, right? If you've ever picked self-respect over fake peace, share in the comments. What lines did you draw? What did it cost? What did you win? If you think I nailed it, hit like. If I went too far, tell me why. I'm curious for your take. Subscribe for more tales of outsmarting family games with brains, not shouting. Until next time, the best revenge is a watertight contract.